Tackle Tip Tuesday with your boy Big Rai. Today we're talking top water bassin for beginners. So I'm gonna jump right into it. There's really two techniques that I love throwing top water, and that is throwing, this is a Berkley Jaywalk, Zara Spook, there's a bunch of different brands. It's a walking style bait, an open water bait. This one's a Berkley Jaywalk. Not sponsored by Berkley, but I really like this bait, catches a lot of fish. And my other bait is a frog, some sort of frog style bait. This is a Spro. Spro makes an incredible frog. And I'm gonna dive into how to fish both those. But I believe those two techniques, you're gonna catch them anywhere, anytime. So let's jump into the rod and reel setup because that's really important on top water. I like to throw a 7 to 7'6" heavy to extra heavy bait casting rod. The reason why I like this setup is I can throw it into heavy cover and get those big fish out. When you hook a 4, 5, 6+ pound bass, even a 2-pounder in heavy cover, you need to get that fish out of that cover. And if your rod and reel setup isn't heavy, that fish is gonna get into those weeds, get into that wood, break you off, get you tangled up. You don't want that happening. So having a stout setup is great for getting the hooks into that fish and getting it to the boat, which is the most important part. Now, on these style baits, the walking style baits, those are typically more open water. You don't need as heavy as a setup, and actually a lot of guys will have a lighter rod, have some lighter line because they don't need a big heavy rod. And actually having a heavy rod like this, a lot of times you'll pull these treble hooks out of the fish's mouth, which can be an issue. So you gotta kind of play with that depending on your style of fishing. Now I'm constantly switching. So this is kind of like my all-purpose setup. I can go from walking style bait to frog. All I gotta do is tie it on, I'm good to go. This is just an all-around type setup. So it's not ideal for all situations, but 99% of the time, this'll do the job. I like throwing, let's just talk about line. I like throwing braid. That's just what I like to do. I throw 65 to 80 pound. This right here, 65. I think it's Power Pro, doesn't really matter. Gets the job done. And again, if you're throwing the frog a lot into cover, you're gonna wanna use braid. If you're not using braid, you're gonna have a lot of issues. So if you're gonna be throwing the frog, throw the braid. The walking style baits, the poppers, they run fine on braid too. I see a lot of guys that run mono. Mono works great too. I just want an all-purpose rod, so I'm not carrying 20 million rods with me on my boat because that's just not my style. Let's talk about the reel real fast, and then we're gonna jump on the water and show you guys how it's done. Some sort of moderately fast reel. I use a 7.3 to 1. You can use a little bit slower, a little bit faster. Not a big deal. You just want something with a good drag, because when I'm throwing top water, typically I'm cranking this drag down and I'm getting those fish to the boat fast, especially on a frog. There ain't much fighting going on with a frog or even this style of bait. It's just get the hooks in that fish and reeling it to the boat. So 7 to 7'6" rod, heavy to extra heavy, 65 pound braid, a bait casting reel of your choice with a good drag that can get the fish to the boat. And I'm telling you, you get that put together and you got yourself one heck of a day top water fishing. Now, I'm gonna go on the water and show you guys some key areas, how to fish certain styles of baits like the frog and these walking style baits. And let's put some fish in the boat. Let's go.